Hey everybody, Dr. Ray Pastor, and we are going to talk about exercise and esports and gaming. Is there a link between exercise and esports? Why should anyone who's serious about gaming or a gamer perform any kind of exercise or care about health? Now, besides the obvious that every person should be caring about exercise and health, let's talk about what some of the research has said, some of the things that you can do, and some of the areas, the way that I break down health, exercise, and esports. All right, you ready? Let's begin. All right, so the first thing that we have here, I pulled up a couple research studies, and basically they're saying a few different things, and some of it's very positive and in line with what I would expect. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. This is by Yin et al. This is published in 2020 in the Journal of Sport and Health Science about esports and talking about health and esports. And basically what they found is that there's some commonly identified negative health outcomes that are caused by the impact, lots of gaming, lots of competitive gaming. And those are things like stress, increased stress, which we all know playing a tough match is extremely stressful, right? It can raise our blood pressure and heart rate while we're playing, right? Just like any form of exercise. We can actually, are able to measure that in different ways using like watches and stuff. We know that there are over watching something can actually cause our eyes we can have sleep disorders and various types of, visual disturbances from staring at something too long. And that's really because of our muscles just staring and staring. We can have different types of muscle pain and overuse injuries from sitting, the way that we sit, our ergonomics, what we're really doing. Is our chair made for us? Is our mouse made for us? People can get carpal tunnel and different kinds of injuries like that. In addition, obviously sitting for long periods of time and not being physically fit can increase weight and lead to, unhealthy habits. So let's talk about what some other studies have found that have talked about esports players specifically. Because yes, according to this study by Yin, esports and gaming can lead to these unhealthy outcomes. But is that the reality? And that's the question we're trying to focus on. Is that the reality? And how do we break from the reality, and what are different programs actually doing? And I'm going to talk specifically about what a college program should do, because that's what I'm doing, but it will be no difference between professional and college and high school and middle school and kids. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the next study. So basically, this study from Yin found that yes, there are these negative outcomes. Is that really the reality of esports? And so we have this study by Trotter et al. In 2020, which was published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, about the association between esports, participation, health, and physical activity. And what it looked at is what is the reality of esports players? Because yes, gaming can lead to all these bad things, but does it? Is that the reality? Some really interesting findings here. And a lot of these were published all around the web because it was really fascinating to examine what esports players' health is like. All right, so first of all, let's get into it. Let me show you some of these stats. This is kind of cool. All right, so if esports players BMI, if you're not familiar with BMI, that's like your body mass. So basically like a healthy BMI for a person is below 25 is considered normal weight. So you want to they take your height and weight into consideration and say, what's your BMI? So that's what it is when I say BMI. All right, so esports players BMI is better than the average population. So this is in general, people who play esports, not just professionals. This is in general, people who are gamers and play competitive games have a better BMI than the average population. Interesting. Now here's the real best part of this. The top 10% of ranked players had even better BMIs on average than everyone else. So what that's telling me is that the people who are the best players, it seems to leads me to believe that maybe there's some health aspect going on with those better players. That health is actually affecting, being healthy is a part of being a top ranked player. Okay, there's more. All right. Esports players smoke less than the average population and drink less alcohol. And both of those, there's lots of reasons why we can say that is. One of the reasons people say is because they're training, they're playing something. So just like any sport, you're actually doing the sport. You have a hobby and activity. So your hobby isn't smoking. So that's one of the reasons they predict why, us esports people aren't smoking. But it could just be we care more about health. But that's one of the reasons. Okay, next, we got some more. Okay, so the World Health Organization recommends that people get 150 minutes of exercise per week. So on average, they recommend that humans get around just over 2 hours of exercise per week on average. Every single person should do this. All right, so what they found is that esports players are the same as the general population as far as how much they exercise each week. And that also means that esports people, gamers, are not getting the recommended exercise just like the general population. But there was no difference there. But now this is, again, the kicker of this, and the interesting finding is that those who are ranked in the top 10% of gamers and players are getting the recommended amount. They're getting way more than 90% of other gamers and way more than the general population. So this leads us to the conclusion that in general, it appears that people who are ranked highly in video games are most likely healthier overall. They're doing some kind of exercise. They're getting the amount of exercise they're supposed to or more, and they have a better BMI. So it seems like there's this clear link between being a healthy person and being highly ranked in a game. And obviously you can be healthy and be terrible at video games. But we're talking about on average, the average player, and you're not average if you're in the top 10%, but when you're only looking at the top 10%, that average person in the top 10% is very healthy and healthier than the general population. That's the real brilliance of this study, is that we found that, yes, there's this correlation between people who are highly ranked in a video game and their health. All right, so now it's time to talk about the 5 levels of being a healthy gamer. Let's begin. Okay, so the first thing we have, the first way that someone in esports or who wants to be a gamer can start to get healthy is by focusing on physical fitness. Physical fitness can be anything from, running, any form of exercise. But what these exercises do is not only does it increase your metabolism and do all this healthy, great stuff for your body, but as far as being a gamer, it's going to increase your stamina and increase your hand-eye coordination a lot. Even things like playing catch, like with a football, will increase your hand-eye coordination significantly. Next thing, recovery and rest. Probably the most important overlooked aspect of being healthy. Yes, sleeping is healthy for you. Helps you mentally, being able to mentally focus. It allows your muscle and body to recover so that you can actually heal, so you don't get things like that carpal tunnel. And all of these things are hand in hand with one another. Like, you need the physical fitness, that'll help your carpal tunnel. Then you need to rest, that'll also help with your carpal tunnel, and things like that. Next thing we have for being healthy, nutrition. Eating healthy. I'm not going to talk about like what your macros and what's healthy versus not right now, but you should focus on clean eating, whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables. You want to look up specific diets for yourself. There's all kinds out there, but the key is eating a healthy diet with low sugar, lower processed foods. Very simple. All right. Next thing, mental health. Mental health is super important as a gamer. Anyone into video games understands how difficult playing games can be, because there's a level of toxicity that you have to deal with. You have to know how to take toxicity and not let it affect your gameplay, not let it affect you at all. You need to know how to shut that off, how to mute it in game or mute people. You also need to know how to avoid getting down when you're doing bad, because in a game, there's always going to be points where you're not just stomping the other team. You are going to be doing bad sometimes. How do you break that cycle and break that mental part of it? So there's this huge mental aspect to playing video games. All right, and the next part of health, the final part, is in general living a healthy lifestyle. That's choosing doing things like not smoking, limiting limiting amount of alcohol you drink, and stuff like that. In general, good, healthy habits. Those are the 5 levels of being a healthy gamer: physical fitness, recovery and rest, nutrition, mental health, and lifestyle. If you can start there and start focusing a little bit, my recommendation is to start focusing a little bit on each of those 5 categories and just starting baby steps. Start small, build up, and eventually you're going to be an expert in working out and knowing all this stuff about physical fitness, whether it's running, biking, lifting weights, swimming, doing different kinds of tasks that'll help your hand-eye coordination and be a better gamer. You'll start to learn, like, how much sleep do I need? What kind of foods should I eat depending on what kind of diet I'm really going to choose? How do I get healthy? What are the ways to do that? So those are the 5 levels of being a healthy gamer. I hope you enjoyed this. Later, everybody.